It's April 6th, 2021, and this is Sketchworks NewsBrake. The news stops here. I'm Brian Troxell. Major League Baseball's All-Star Game will not take place in Atlanta this year. The league pulled the game in response to Georgia's new voting law, which its critics say will make it harder for black and low-income voters to actually vote. Voter suppression, much like baseball, is as American as apple pie. Major League Baseball decided yesterday to play the All-Star Game in Denver. Now, Colorado requires a photo ID in order to vote, just like Georgia. Colorado allows 15 days for early voting, which is two fewer than Georgia, which allows 17 days. Colorado requires signature verification for mail-in ballots, which Georgia just got rid of in their new law. But Colorado forbids campaign workers from handing out food and water to people waiting in line to vote, just like Georgia. Plus, Major League Baseball has moved the game from a state where 31% of the people are black to a state where 4% of the people are black, in the name of racial justice. President Biden referred to Georgia's voting bill as Jim Crow on steroids. This fiasco marks the very first time in history Major League Baseball didn't profit off of someone on steroids. In addition to baseball pulling out, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy wrote to studios such as Netflix in an attempt to coax them to move their Georgia-based productions, like Stranger Things and The Walking Dead, to New Jersey. If that happens, get ready to hear things like, "Yo, 11, why is your nose bleeding so much? You on blow?" And, "I'm Walking Dead over here." Georgia's Republican lawmakers are not happy about companies like Delta and Coca-Cola coming out against its voting law. Some of them have told Coke to get its soda out of the state legislature's offices. Others are so fed up with Delta, they're actually thinking about flying on Spirit. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell says companies should, in his words, stay out of politics. If only someone had told that to the MyPillow guy before he went off the deep end and promoted election conspiracy theories. In an op-ed piece, former Georgia Democratic gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams wrote, she has no doubt voters of color are willing to endure the hardships of boycotts, but it's not necessary yet. Former President Barack Obama supports a Georgia boycott. Former President Donald Trump supports a boycott of the boycotters. And current President Joe Biden is just looking for support to help him up a flight of stairs. Why are they making it harder on the poor guy by making him carry a bag and an umbrella while walking upstairs in the rain? Doesn't he have people to do that for him? As the trial against the officer who killed George Floyd gets underway, the ER doctor who pronounced the 46-year-old dead last summer has testified that he believes a lack of oxygen caused the innocent black man's heart to stop. The defense responded to the testimony, "See, the officer's knee on the neck thing had nothing to do with this." In more legal news, lawyers for Harvey Weinstein. Hey, we haven't heard from him in a while. Anyway, Harvey's lawyers are asking for a reversal of his sex crimes conviction and for him to be granted a new trial, arguing the first trial was tainted on many levels. If I were Weinstein's attorneys, I wouldn't use the word taint. In more legal news involving taint, a Florida janitor received a 20-year sentence after filming inside a girl's high school locker room. His sentence can be reduced if he agrees to share the videos with Matt Gaetz. And while we're talking about the Florida representative, his fiance's name is Ginger Lucky, meaning they definitely met when she was stripping on a Carnival cruise ship. Come on, man! New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has finally spoken about the record-shattering surge of illegal migrants at the southern border. And she said, don't call it a surge because they're not insurgents. Ocasio-Cortez also said that migrant children aren't being kept in plastic cages because Nicolas Cage isn't made of plastic. And don't call her dumb because she doesn't live in a dumpster. A federal program will pay thousands in funeral costs to people whose relatives died of COVID-19. If eligible, you can either receive the funds by direct deposit or in gift cards to your favorite funeral homes. Hey, that reminds me. Let's see what the first round of the COVID vaccine is doing to Sketchworks NewsBrake correspondent Tim Millard now.
My roof flooded. This was not COVID.
Nah, don't worry, Tim. Just turn on your COVID tracker and have Bill Gates pay for the damage. A Louisiana man was arrested at Disney World for refusing a temperature check. The man said he was not opposed to Disney taking his temperature. He just didn't understand why it had to be done anally. By Pinocchio. An autographed rookie football card from Tom Brady fetched $2.25 million at auction this past Friday night. When interviewed, Brady responded, "I knew hanging on to that thing would be worth it." Speaking of people spending way too much money, somebody spent nearly $750,000 on some art made by a robot. Except it wasn't art. It was one of those digital NFT things that I still don't completely understand. If there's anyone out there with too much money, Sketchworks NewsBrake would like to offer the first episode of this show as an NFT in exchange for your surplus of money. I mean, clearly I don't need it, but the writers do. Won't someone please think of the writers? They should be able to buy nice things too, like the nice thing in this next story. Yesterday, Heritage Auctions in Texas sold a video game for $660,000, the highest price ever paid for a game. The item was a sealed copy of the 1986 video game Super Mario Bros. In other Mario news, it was reported Mario Cuomo's son and America's worst governor, Andrew Cuomo, was paid $4 million for a book his staff actually wrote for him. I like to say that's the most paid to someone for a book they never wrote, but we all know that's not true. Publisher Houghton Mifflin is selling a book division to News Corp, the parent subsidiary of Fox News. Not to worry, you can still purchase such classics as Tolstoy's War and War and Jane Austen's Prejudice and Prejudice. Here's some news from New York's Finger Lakes region. God, I hope finger is an adjective there, not a verb. Anyway, the Watkins Glen Waterfront Festival and Cardboard Boat Regatta has been canceled because it's stupid. This past Saturday's unique date of 4/3/21 drew nearly 700 couples to Las Vegas to tie the knot, ready to begin the final countdown to their likely divorces. A Tennessee woman who was tired of waiting for her food fired multiple shots in a Memphis area Burger King. Thankfully, no one was injured. However, investigators were surprised to learn people still eat at Burger King. The U.S. Supreme Court sided with Google in a copyright dispute with Oracle. The issue is, Google used some of Oracle's computer code to make its Android operating system. The 6 justices who sided with Google say it's just fair use. So remember, kids, when you're copying someone else's answers off a test, it's just fair use. Now that's a joke, hopefully, but fair use is a very serious legal subject, one that we here at Sketchworks Comedy have been heavily involved in over the last year and a half. Here with the latest on that is Sketchworks NewsBrake correspondent John D. Babcock III.
Brian, in September 2018, Sketchworks Comedy staged Vape, the Musical, a parody of the musical Grease, as well as a lampoon of current popular culture. Reaction to Vape was overwhelmingly positive by audiences and critics. The production earned 10 Broadway World Atlanta Award nominations and won Best New Work, Non-Professional. After a successful Atlanta run, Vape was booked for 3 performances at Improv Asylum's New York City Theater. However, 10 days before those performances, Concord Theatrical, the rights holders to Grease, sent Sketchworks a cease and desist order, preventing them from performing their Grease parody. Sketchworks fought back. On Friday, August 9th, 2019, Sketchworks Comedy filed a lawsuit against the owners of Grease for violating their First Amendment right of free speech. Vape is a parody, and therefore protected under fair use. The Grease owners responded with a motion to dismiss, claiming Sketchworks filed the lawsuit for publicity. On Wednesday, March 31st, a New York federal judge denied the motion to dismiss, stating in her order, Sketchworks' desire to perform the show in the future and requests to Grease authors for a covenant not to sue are reason to support that a controversy exists over whether vape is fair use. More on this story as it develops, Brian.
Thank you, Babs. Hashtag free vape. Spirit Airlines is back in the news, this time because a flight attendant kicked a family off a plane. The problem? Their 2-year-old child was eating and didn't have a face mask on. At least Spirit didn't charge the family its get kicked off the flight fee. Spirit is accusing JetBlue and American Airlines of coordinating flights and routes outside the scope of their new Northeast U.S. alliance. Spirit is also accusing them of false advertising with claims of customer service and on-time flights, something Spirit says is impossible for an airline. Come on, man! 2 people were killed when a plane carrying a gender reveal party banner crashed in Cancun. But given the choice, I'm sure most guests still would have rather been on the plane. Sunday morning, a military mine washed up on a Florida beach. Now, thankfully, the mine was not active because it was filled with cocaine. Amazon is accused of illegal actions when they fired 2 employees for speaking critically about working conditions in the company's warehouses. Amazon said they first learned the employees were talking critically about them from an inside source. YouTube is considering removing the dislike button counter on videos. Luckily, this won't affect Sketchworks NewsBrake since no one watches this show in the first place. This would be a good time to click the like button and the subscribe button and the notification bell. Last night, Jeopardy contestant Scott Shufelt told guest host Aaron Rodgers he has visited every Canadian province. There's only 10 of them. America has 50 states, one of which looks like a big penis. So suck on that, Canada. On Thursday, a Russian MMA fighter had his finger completely severed during a fight in Philadelphia. Gives a whole new meaning to giving somebody the finger, right? Even more wild is that the fighter wanted to keep fighting even after realizing his finger was detached from his body. He was taken to the hospital where doctors were able to reattach it, but unfortunately he was declared the loser of his match, which is disappointing to him because he'd always said he'd be willing to give his right arm to be a champion. Guess he didn't give enough. A report published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, or PNAS, which is a horrible name for a journal, by the way. In the report, scientists conclude the genetic foundation is present for human beings to eventually become venomous. I thought we already were venomous. That explains a lot about the ineffectiveness of my bite. A British mathematician and psychology professor said it only takes 12 to 15 friends for a person to be happy. Excellent news! I only have 12 to 15 more friends to go. That's all for Sketchworks NewsBrake. We'll be back next week, and we hope you are too. I'm Brian Troxel. Say hi to your mom for me. I'll be bringing by her latest issue of Penis later.
You got to squeeze. You got it, man. All right. Thank you all.